Welcome back everyone to my Let's Play of Final Fantasy II for the Nintendo Famicom system. Last episode, Fess, Maxine, Booker, and Prince Gordon rescued Princess Hilda from her cell here in the prison underneath the arena. They were trapped in the arena after trying to rescue the princess, or win the princess, in a tournament held by the Emperor, but it was a trap. They ended up in jail, but Paul the thief, who we rescued in the Mithril Mines, he came to our rescue. He was like, hey, I owe you guys for saving me in the Mithril Mines, so that was nice of him. So we found the princess, and Prince Gordon escorted her out, and now we're on our way out. So because there was that cutscene with the princess and Prince Gordon leaving, you can't use the warp or the teleport spell to get out of here, so we gotta hoof it the long way. But that's okay, because we've got some enemies we want to run into here. So I went back just to get those treasure chests that I missed last episode. I mentioned, I was like, you know, this episode's getting pretty long, so I was like, I'll just skip these treasure chests, you know, so that the episode doesn't kind of go too long, so. But ran back and got them, so pretty good treasure we got. I mean, that elixir, like I said, it's like an inn for one person. That'll come in handy toward the end game. So, for the final dungeon, because it's a pretty long trek. So, one of the new enemies we want to encounter here can potentially drop the Osmos, the Aspel spell, depending on your translation that you're using. The wizard enemy, and that also would make the dungeon really, the final dungeon a lot easier, because that absorbs magic points from the enemy. So, lets you steal from that, so it's kind of like just pulling an ether out of an enemy whenever you need it. So we'll get one of them spells naturally in the Mysidia Cave, but that's the only one that you can get naturally. The other ones you have to basically have dropped from the wizard enemy, and that's the only enemy that does drop it. So, but the wizard is a common enemy in some other areas later on in the game. So if we don't get one here, you know, it's not like this is the only place where you can encounter wizards, so. But. So got an undead there, but that's not who we wanted to fight. We already ran into them. We want to run into, like a group of soldiers, so. And that will include some of those captains. Yeah, the captains, there was guards that were really tough back in Finn. That ran around the city that we had to avoid back in when we first went to Finn, found Scott way back in the beginning. So I think it was like episode 2 or 3. Them we have to. They're actually a random encounter in here. So they're also the same ones that we encountered back in the Dreadnought. So we were able to defeat one in the Dreadnought, but I was like, these guys are so tough that you know we don't want to keep fighting them. You know. So. Just goes to show how far our characters have come. So, since even since the Dreadnought, you know. So, the fact that we can take these enemies on, the captains on, while they're surrounded with other enemies. So, our little ratty heroes are growing up. So, speaking of ratty heroes, Princess Guinevere, my girl rat here, she took her spay like a champ, so she's running around right now. Well, she's not running around, she's out playing, but she's currently on my lap. Very happy. Surprisingly, like I said, a major surgery, because not only when they spay the rat, it's basically like almost a pure an entire hysterectomy, because they don't just take out the ovaries, they actually take out her uterus as well, so it's basically a hysterectomy. So, despite that, she is running around like there's nothing happening to her. So, which is good. It's also good that right now I don't have any other rats, because they, whatchamacallit, rats are notorious groomers, and they groom each other. You know, it's a social bonding thing that they do with one another. And having other rats would have potentially caused them to want to groom her. She has a little. Obviously, she has a stitch. They're internal stitches, so they'll dissolve on their own, so they don't take her back to the vet. But you know, she has that little mark there, and if the rat sees anything that's different on you, they will pick at it. So They love band-aids. Like if I have a band-aid on my finger, like all my rats, didn't matter which ones they were, boy, girl, how old they would just want to, they're like, oh, something's different with this finger, I gotta pick at it. And they would just chew off the band-aid and pull at it and stuff like that. They didn't like it, so I guess they're very, well, they're very feel-oriented, because rats have terrible eyesight, so they just feel things, and I guess they don't like the feel of something different, you know. It's like, oh, there's a weird bump here, gotta chew on it, so. But yeah, she went well. So if anybody saw my last episode and said a prayer for Princess Guinevere, because I mentioned she was getting her spay, I really appreciate it. So she appreciates it too, and 2 old boys at the mouse rescue will appreciate it, because now that she is spayed, once these stitches dissolve in about 2 weeks, I can go over to the mouse rescue and pick up those older boys. Obviously, I did not want to get any boy rats while I still have an intact female, because control the pet population, like Bob Barker and now Drew Carey say on The Price is Right. So sometimes I catch that at work. I'll use my lunch break instead of going to grab lunch, because 3 times a week I use the gym. We have a thing with the government that they allow us like 3 hours a week to work out, to help our health. It's a program that basically they figure it'll help cut down on insurance costs for them, because part of my healthcare is subsidized by the government. So you know, they figure if we give these people an incentive to work out, it'll prevent us from maybe spending money on healthcare, for like diabetes, obesity, things that may be caused by excess weight, or even just being sedentary, not really walking around doing anything. So they encourage it. So yeah, on those days, obviously I don't eat, so I got into the habit of skipping lunch all the time at work, because I'm so used to doing those 3 days not eating. So I just I'll take I get an unpaid 30-minute lunch, so sometimes I'll just take it and I'll go over and watch some of The Price is Right at the gym. I'll take a little walk over there on the treadmill, at least right now, because it's still kind of cold out. So, but here's some new enemies that we want to run into. So the green one up there on top, that is the wizard, and that is the one that could drop the Aspil spell, like that. So I have the stats up here. And the one on the bottom there is the sorcerer. So, they, yes, he can drop, he can drop some spells as well. Not, of course, as good as the wizard. So, the wizard has that Aspil Osmo spell, and also the flare spell, which is basically a non-elemental black magic attack spell. The regular spells have a base attack, like the elemental spells have a base attack of 10. Flare has a base attack of 20. So against an enemy that has, non-elemental weakness, Flare will be better, which a lot of enemies toward the end of the game have. However, against an enemy with elemental weakness, because you get like that 20 attack added to the bonus, that's when your elemental spells will be better. So it all depends, like I said, if the enemy has a weakness or not. It depends, whether you want to use Flare or the elemental weakness. Of course, a lot of bosses, have no weaknesses, so it's better to maybe potentially build up Flare. When I did my test run, I didn't build up Flare. The only black magic I used was Fire and Blizzard, so I didn't get to exploit all the elemental weaknesses. Because for the sea monsters, I just had that Mage Staff, which casts Lightning 5, and Layla to take care of that. And, by the time you get Flare normally, it's way too, I was like, do I really want to level the spell up? I can just use Fire and Ice. as long as the enemy doesn't absorb it, I was like, yeah, I'll still get some decent damage out of it, so. But this time I think I'll pick it up, so. Some of the good things about replaying these games, you get to, like, try new strategies and stuff. I mean, you try the old stuff to see what works, but then, you know, you tweak things and all, so. Try different things out. So, there's the good old captains again. Not so tough anymore, are ya? We don't even have the ancient sword. I inadvertently de-equipped the ancient sword and got rid of it. Sold it. I forget what episode I did that, and I don't even remember doing it. But that's okay. We don't really have to really worry, I guess, too much about the ancient sword anymore, because one, it has kind of bad accuracy, and yeah, even though Booker is getting really high in his sword level, so he's hitting a lot of hits, there's always the enemies are also getting much higher magic defense, so there's a chance for them to block that spell when it goes through from the ancient sword. So it's kind of harder to land curse on endgame level enemies. So it's much easier to land buffs on your own character, so it's just better to, you know, berserk your own characters and build up their attack power that way, rather than cutting the defense of the enemy. There's another good spell there, Haste, Black Magic spell. In future Final Fantasies, it's a buff spell, so it's it's a buff spell here too, but they make it a white magic spell. But Haste basically grants like an extra attack for your characters. So, you know, like Guy has like rank 6 swords. Now he'll be like basically puts him up to like rank 7 basically. So it allows an extra hit, so you can actually build up pretty good. So you can haste and you know, berserk your characters. I didn't really use haste in my test run either, but I did more farming in my test run, and there's an enemy that drops these Hermes shoes, which can, which basically does the same thing. It casts like haste on your characters, on whoever uses it. But you know, farming that item, of course, you know, takes time, and you got to find the right enemy. And I'm not going to be doing farming in this game, so in this playthrough. So I'll probably pick up the haste. Won't give it a lot of you know, usage, but you know, I'll use it a little bit. So just moving stuff around there. Warp will go over there. The two, you know, stat boosters are there at the bottom, and then that hole there that I have by the warp, I'll end up filling that with the flare tone. So, and that'll be all my magic for. Well, no, I'll have the. I'll probably trade the warp spell. I'll switch it down to the bottom and put the Aspil the Osmos spell there in the warp stat. That'll be 9 magic spells. You get 16 slots for magic, so a little more than half of the slots filled for good old Maxine there. Fess obviously going to have a lot less spells, so. I just want to get Berserk up to level 2 here, so I was like at 98, so very close to it, so might as well get that up. So I'm gonna have to obviously start working that one a little bit, eventually more, but I'm trying to get all my elemental spells up to level 6, and that'll help for a future dungeon, about 1, 2, 3 dungeons from now. We have the tower where Ultima is located. It's has all these elemental type floors. So there's an ice floor. There's like a ground floor where things will be weak to the Scourge spell. There's a fire floor. So, and then the dungeon before that is spoiler in the belly of a fish, and a lot of the enemies there are weak against the thunder, the lightning spell. So you're basically having like 2 dungeons in a row where a lot of elemental weakness enemies are, so I'm going to try to get like the spells up to level 6, because they'll be getting a lot of use in that, in those 2 dungeons. And then maybe, you know, in the dungeons they might, you know, get up close to level 7 depending on how often I use them, so how bad the encounter rate is. So, I would have, speaking of encounter rate, we got a pretty high encounter rate here on the overworld. I was hoping that I could finish this episode by getting to getting a chocobo and getting, you know, back to a town, but Unfortunately, the enemies did not cooperate. They were like, we must stop Fess, Maxine, and Booker. I guess they don't want us reaching Altair, you know, the rebel hideout. And I guess the reason why they don't want us to reach there is because something big is going on. It was kind of hinted at a previous episode. I think maybe 2 episodes ago. So something big. So yeah, the monsters must be, you know, really aware. They're like, we're being told, you know, hey, you gotta make sure that these guys don't get back, or these ratty heroes don't get back. So chimeras, no weaknesses. Blizzard or Scourge will work on the ant lines there. So I'm thinking of Final Fantasy IV, where they're like that. The ant line's a big boss. And there's also a big boss in whatchamacallit, Final Fantasy V. So you can check out my Let's Plays of that game. I did 3 of them so far for the 4-job Fiesta. So got another one of them coming up in about, what, 5 months? They usually start end of June, early July. So late 6, early 7, and it's basically the end of January here. So 4 or 5 months. So I'll have this game, and Final Fantasy. I may start a little bit later though. Depends. Like I said, I'll probably have this game finished, then Final Fantasy 3, Dragon Quest 1, and then Dragon Quest 2. Like I said, this one should probably take me another month. Final Fantasy 3 is about like 40 days, based on my test run, and then Dragon Quest is about 10 days. So we've got about a month left in this game. So yeah, this game's a little long because, like I said, I'm not cutting out the random battles. But so yeah, so we got about 2.5 months with these games. That should take us to basically April, and then start Dragon Quest 2 then. So that might take us through April, May. So. After that, we get Dragon Quest 3, which is probably just in time for Prince Oni Day. Prince Oni is the ratty who is the hero in Dragon Quest 3. That's who the hero will be named for. And his special day is August 4th. So, wow, we have all these things. See, there's my OCD kicking in again. I have all these things planned out. I have all these like notes and papers and stuff and lists. So obsessive compulsive nature. So, I think Guinevere has a little bit of obsessive compulsiveness because she is grooming me this entire time. I started talking about her. She's been on my lap the entire time, and she is just grooming me. She's grooming my hands and stuff like that. So, I have been accepted into her tribe. So, now I don't know if she thinks that whether she's the alpha or I'm the alpha. I don't know what's going on in your little ratty brain, but I know that one thing that's going on is that she has totally accepted me because she is grooming me. So she's like, you are a cool, weird-looking rat, but I accept you. So I'm part of the colony. Nice. So it's always good. I was checking out my spells here. Scourge, one casting away from not maxing out, putting it level 5, and soon as getting up there. So I want to try to get that up to level 8 as soon as possible. So yeah, spells looking pretty good. Fire's getting close to level 6. So once we hit level 6 with fire, probably stop it there for a while. Naturally, fire is probably going to level up the fastest because, as I said basically at the beginning, the first episode, more enemies are weak to fire than any other spell, so it's going to get the most usage out of all the spells. So, naturally, because it's getting used so much, it's going to level the most. So, come back in the next episode where we finally get back to Altair. Take care, have a good one. Thanks for following along. Bye.